Hi, everyone. I'm Colleen Tartow from Starburst, and I am thrilled to be here. I've been a longtime fan of She Geeks Out. I've known Rachel for years, and I'm always impressed by the events that they pull together. I'm also seeing so many people in the chat that I've known through various paths in life, which is really fun. So, hi, everybody. Today, I'm going to take just a few minutes to talk to you about Starburst and what we do, and then I'll talk about how we think about compensation here, and maybe, hopefully, even convince you to apply for a job at Starburst. So Starburst is a startup based here in Boston with offices in Palo Alto, California, and Warsaw, Poland, as well as Boston. And no, unfortunately, we do not make Starburst candies. I'm sorry to tell you. What we do is we allow for businesses to accelerate their path from data to insights. Sorry, the light is being really weird on my face right now. So for decades now, the accepted paradigm for doing data analytics has been to take data from various sources and move it all into a common location and then do analytics on it. But this adds in latency because you're essentially creating time-based snapshots of your data whenever you replicate it. It also creates complexity because you have all these data pipelines that you have to grow and build and manage. And as your data grows, it just becomes like a full-time job. And then also this adds like serious vendor lock-in because you end up with a lot of data specific technologies that have to be managed and maintained, and they're very hard to change. And honestly, this entire paradigm was created before we had things like cloud-based technologies and modern hardware. So it's time that we modernize it. And so Starburst is an integral part of that. So Starburst is based on an open source software tool called Trino, which used to be called Presto. And it allows you to use plain old SQL or SQL to query your data at the source directly without building all of these pipelines, which is really cool. And so you can leave your data where it is and use your BI tool or run SQL queries or use a data science tool to do analytics and get value from your data right at the source without building pipelines. So there's Trino, which is the open source, and then Starburst builds Starburst Enterprise, which is like a souped up, tricked out version of Trino with a lot of cool extra features added on top. And then we also have a fully managed and hosted version of Trino called Starburst Galaxy, which was released last year. So in terms of actually building all of that software, we have a really incredible engineering team at Starburst composed of folks from all over the world. We try to time zone align our teams, but we are remote first. We're not remote only, which is nice because I get to go into the office whenever I feel like it, which is usually about once or twice a week, maybe twice a week, usually more like once. But it's great because we can accommodate whatever works for people. We hire engineers up and down the stack, everything from infrastructure and distributed systems engineers all the way through full stack application engineers, front end developers, UX product managers, customer service engineers. I'm one of the hiring managers. I actually lead our engineering organization for Starburst Enterprise. I've been at Starburst a little over 2 years at this point, and I'm really pleased with all the progress we've made in developing what I think is a really inclusive and unbiased interview process with really clear guidelines and a lot of transparency, which I think is really important. At Starburst, we're committed to equity and compensation and benefits. We do that by really ensuring that we have clearly defined salary bands for every role. And we define those bands based on data that we bring in from a variety of credible places. And we make sure that we're paying, I believe, around the 75th percentile for each role. And another important thing is that in the startup world, we offer equitable distribution of equity, which is really important. A not so fun statistic that I read is that in the US, women make up roughly 30% of equity holding positions at startups, but we only hold 15% of the equity, which tells me that on average, women aren't getting as much ownership of our companies as their male counterparts, which is, of course, unacceptable. At Starburst, we're all owners, and we're careful to make sure that equity is based on role and merit, and it's standardized alongside salary bands so that we're fair when we put together our offer packages. So that all said, my advice to you as a longtime hiring manager and as a woman in tech is to make sure that you're asking all the questions about all of these things when you're negotiating a compensation package for a new role. I know Lakeisha is going to have a lot of really excellent advice for you as well. So before we get to that, I just do want to end by giving a plug for Starburst, because we are hiring across the board. We're hiring everything: recruiters, customer support, HR, engineering, product management, everything. If you're curious, you can go to starburst.io/careers, or you can reach out to me directly and practice those networking skills, either on LinkedIn or at Colleen at starburst.io.